Opening his eyes, Ryan saw a blindingly bright light, which he began to unconsciously reach for. For a few moments, he tried to figure out where he was. Suddenly, memories of the last moments before he found himself in this place came flooding back to him. At the last moment of his life, the hero was overconfident and thought that he could cope with the attack. But he overestimated himself too much, and the explosion took his life. Ryan didn't understand that he could die like that with his abilities, especially in front of his own people. The guy was very angry about the current situation. He recalled the day when he agreed to collaborate with one of the leading companies. The girl then warned him that the hero should be careful because someone was targeting him. But the guy didn't take her warning seriously, replying that with his abilities, none of his enemies would be able to even touch him with a finger. He was also confident of his safety due to the fact that only one person knew about their union, and then asked Anna to make all the necessary preparations for the evening of the celebration. She clarified that if by that person he meant Agnes, who protected his boyfriend from being shot in the back, then the girl said not to trust her so much. The hero also guessed that something was wrong with Agnes. Suddenly, he received a message from her, from which he learned that the girl had sent him a gift that would arrive any minute. He was surprised by this. She had never sent him gifts before. It was quite unexpected that the girl decided to do something like this. At the same time, the outlines of a large object appeared in the window behind him, approaching the building. Sensing something was wrong, he turned around. Ryan was amazed that they had spared no expense to buy an entire plane to kill him. But Anna shouted that they needed to get out of here as quickly as possible. Loosening his tie, he replied that the plane was already too close and there was no point in running. Therefore, he has no choice but to accept this challenge. The next moment, he gathered all his strength into his fist, intending to attack the plane flying towards him. After which he rushed towards him, striking him. In the last moments, jubilation filled his soul to the brim. Now Ryan realized how reckless it had been for him to try to take on the plane with his bare hands. He was worried about who could take advantage of Anna, who would never dare to kill him. A system window appeared, distracting the hero from his thoughts, informing him that he had been chosen as the savior of the Day of Judgment and was reborn in the world of the apocalypse, and that upon completing the main task, he would be able to return to his world. He reread the information in surprise several more times, trying to understand everything. It seemed to him that something like this was only possible in children's fairy tales, but not in reality. But he couldn't refuse the offered chance to return back. He had too much unfinished business left, so the next moment he pressed the agree button, after which a bright glow began to emanate from the window. A couple of seconds later, a beautiful girl materialized in front of him, introducing herself as the goddess of the system and saying that from that moment on, Ryan became its master. Layla said that before she sends the hero into the apocalypse world, she will briefly describe the situation there. In the year 2030, a special drink spread throughout the world, but no one even imagined the consequences of its use. Suddenly, inexplicable changes began to occur in those who drank it frequently. Soon these people began to turn into zombies. Because these monsters feed on blood and flesh, they began to attack ordinary people, who became their main source of food. All those bitten by them also turned into zombies, and the virus continued to spread everywhere. The surviving people very quickly lost control of the situation, and the world descended into apocalypse. For this reason, the hero was called to this world to save people and restore peace and order. The girl warned him that Ryan would no longer be able to be reborn after death again, so he needed to be extremely careful. Doubts began to creep into the boy's mind, and he replied that he was too weak to save the entire world with his bare hands without the proper weapons or abilities. Layla was shocked by his words. She had never seen a man who rushed at a plane with bare hands and then called himself too weak. She said with irritation that there had been 98 other chosen ones before him, but every single one of them had failed, so being the 99th chosen one, he would receive help from her. Ryan couldn't help but be struck by the number of predecessors. Seeing the guy's reaction, the goddess waited for him to start begging her on his knees for help. A moment later, he said quite calmly that the girl must have a heart of steel to send so many to certain death. She was infuriated by his words, restraining herself from killing the boy on the spot. She said that the system gives the hero a choice of several abilities to increase the chances of survival, but you can only choose one single one without the possibility of changing it. A moment later, a multitude of windows with different abilities appeared in front of the guy. The goddess said that he could take one and read the description. After watching most of it, he realized that he was already familiar with these Shaolin techniques, and there was no point in choosing them. Suddenly, he saw something that could interest him. It was the magic eye technique, a special ability of the eyes that can be improved to produce new effects. It was her that the hero decided to choose. After he pressed the right button, several golden best ones rushed towards him. Once his eye had absorbed all the energy, the same pattern that was on the ability card began to appear on it. Immediately after this, he turned towards the goddess with interest. She didn't understand why the hero was staring at her so intently, but a moment later he blushed and said that he approved of her choice of underwear. Embarrassed, the goddess told him not to use his ability on her, and Ryan defended himself by saying that he was only checking the quality of the goods. Layla has already regretted choosing this guy to be the savior of the world, but she can only be patient until someone more reliable appears. Regaining her composure, she said that his ability included a system-specific technique such as the chapter's eye. In this world, gold no longer has the same value, but for Ryan it is a very valuable material. She explained that in order to become stronger, he would need to invest money. Only in this way would he be able to save the world and return to his own with the help of the Gate of Eyes. The hero was happy when he heard that he could return back using his own ability, which he only needed to improve to the required level. He was already looking forward to grinding all the traitors into dust upon his return. The boy was brought out of his dreams by the voice of the goddess, who said that in addition to the ability, he would be given a beginner's bag, which contained food for 20 days and a blade. After which she warned him that the hero could get all these things with the power of thought, and that he would receive surprises for the death of monsters and, saying goodbye, disappeared. Ryan could only watch in amazement as her image crumbled. The next moment he found himself in an unfamiliar place. Hearing sounds behind him, he hurried to turn around. Seeing the silhouette of a naked girl behind the thin fabric of the curtain, the hero was glad that he received the reward so quickly. Pulling himself away from such fantasies, he tried to return his thoughts to their previous channel, reminding himself that this was the world of the apocalypse, and he should not be distracted by something like that. He then used his X-ray ability to find out what was behind the screen. But the girl's body he saw there again directed his thoughts to a completely different wave. Emerging from his fantasies again, he decided that he should be more careful, because he was new to this world and did not know much about it. Suddenly, the curtain fabric was cut and a knife flew towards the guy. He was able to dodge such a dangerous weapon with ease. A few moments later, the knife returned to its owner. Ryan noted that it was a pretty good technique and it turned out almost to perfection. Meanwhile, Alicia had already rushed at the guy with a knife, but he again successfully avoided all her attacks on him. The hero cleverly tripped the girl and knocked her to the floor. Put in an awkward position, Alicia said that if he continued to stare at her, she would gouge out his eyes. Ryan justified it by saying that because her towel was too sexy, he couldn't help himself. The girl seemed even more embarrassed after his words. A moment later, her embarrassment was replaced by anger, and Alicia raised her fist to attack the insolent man. But he grabbed her hands, blocking the attack. Having freed her wrists from the grip, she decided to strike with her foot. But this attack was also blocked, and Ryan asked if he had impressed her so much that she was looking for an opportunity to give him a casual hug. The girl didn't understand where such a strong man came from. She had never seen anyone like him before. Afterwards, she said that even if she couldn't defeat him, she would summon a whole crowd of zombies here, and they would die together. She was willing to become one of these monsters if it would help destroy her enemy. The hero praised her for such an interesting idea and asked how she was going to let the blood. After his words, she realized that she could not move either her arms or her legs. She was about to bite his hand, but her stomach decided to betray the girl at the most inopportune moment, emitting a loud rumble. After which she fell down without strength. Alicia justified herself by saying that because she had not eaten for the last few days, her strength had quickly run out. Otherwise, she would have easily defeated him. After her words, he remembered one important thing that was worth trying. With the power of thought, he summoned a can of preserves, after which the hero handed it to the surprised girl. The girl said with disbelief that canned food was a very valuable product in their world, and she could not believe that a person like him could just give her something like that. After her words, he decided to resort to trickery, saying that since she was refusing such a wonderful dinner of high-quality meat, washed with the purest water and fried in oil with vegetables, he would have to enjoy it alone. Alicia had a hard time restraining herself from falling for the guy's provocation, but with every word he said, her resolve began to crumble, and hunger made itself felt. She finally gave in and snatched the can of preserves from him, and as soon as she took the first spoonful, she thought it was the most delicious thing she had ever tasted in her entire life. Turning away, she began to actively empty the contents of the jar. A few moments later, she looked at the hero pleadingly, asking if he had a few more jars of food. Ryan replied that there was food, but in exchange, the girl had to answer a couple of questions. Alicia said she wasn't going to indulge his every whim in exchange for food. Sometime later, they moved to another room, where the hero was studying the map, and the girl was enjoying the food. After talking with his new acquaintance, the hero realized that he was in the south of the state in the city of M. Most of the survivors gathered in this city. Having studied everything he needed, Ryan stood up, thanked the girl for her help, and said that it was time for him to hit the road. Jumping out the window, he said that the girl had a beautiful figure. Alicia was taken aback by his last words. Coming to the same window, she decided that she should follow this guy in order to get more delicious food in the future. She secretly followed him, hiding behind the corners of houses. These actions did not come as a surprise to the hero. He felt that someone was following him. The guy decided that the girl did not pose a threat and could continue to follow him. Suddenly, he remembered the goddess's words that he would receive gifts for killing zombies. Ryan decided to test this at the first opportunity. For a while, he began to find it strange that he didn't encounter a single zombie on his way. As the boy walked past the display case, a monster jumped out, ready to attack its prey. The hero turned towards the broken display case with a smile, glad that he finally had the opportunity to fight someone. He deftly dodged his opponent's claws, moving to the side. When he tried to launch a frontal attack, Ryan easily jumped back a few meters. Dodging another attack, the hero accidentally hit a tin can lying on the ground. The guy didn't miss the fact that the monster immediately reacted to the sounds made by the can. A moment later, the zombie lunged at Ryan again. He successfully dodged the zombie's claws again, noticing that the enemy's speed had increased. The hero got tired of playing tag and called upon the weapon that the goddess had prepared for him. The next moment, he lightning fast cut off both of his opponent's arms, moving behind his back. Ryan was confident that the zombie without arms did not pose much of a threat to him. As he turned to look at the results of his work, he was alarmed by the red glow that enveloped his opponent's hands. A few seconds later, the hero watched with his jaw dropped as new limbs appeared in place of the severed ones. As soon as he recovered from the shock, the guy started running, wondering what was going on. The monster quickly caught up with him and was about to attack its target again. Ryan reacted in time and cut off the zombie's limbs to buy himself a few seconds. The monster had no problem growing new arms and chasing his target again. He again chopped off his opponent's limbs, which had already become tiresome. Thus they fought with each other for quite a long period of time. The monster's arms grew back again and again, no matter how hard the hero chopped them. He decided that he should change tactics, because at this rate he would run out of steam faster than he would defeat the enemy. Suddenly a good idea came to his mind, after which he threw away his blade. He activated his eye ability and began to gather all the energy into his fists. A moment later he lunged at the zombie. Seeing the guy rushing towards him, the monster put his hands in front of him as a defense. But his blow was so powerful that it easily broke through such an unreliable defense. Less than 3 seconds passed before the monster's head was torn off its body. Ryan was glad that at least somewhere his knowledge from the games he had been playing for quite a long time came in handy. Suddenly, the monster's body began to turn into gold, which greatly surprised the hero who was watching. As soon as he came to his senses, he was genuinely happy that he managed to get so much money for one killed zombie. Taking the coin in his hands, the hero understood what gift the goddess was talking about. To his surprise, the coin he held in his hand began to change shape. And a second later, Layla stood in front of the bewildered guy and congratulated him on his first kill. She happily announced that for killing one zombie, the hero receives 1 million. Having heard such a sum, Ryan was sure that very soon he would become rich just by eliminating monsters. Meanwhile, the goddess created a tree-like system of his ability, and reported that, having received the first reward, the boy opened one of the branches of development of his magic eye. She explained that in order to level up the eye to fighting spirit, he needed to earn another 10 million gold. Ryan couldn't help but be shocked by the number he heard, which swept away all his vivid fantasies about wealth. The girl also reported that the hero managed to activate the eye gate. This ability allows him to return to his world. After her words, the guy became eager and asked how much gold this ability required. Without hiding her smile, she replied that for each transition he only needed 100 million coins, and that he could stay in his world for no more than a day. The hope that had once been in Ryan's eyes was fading before his eyes, and he was greatly saddened by the fact that he would not be able to return to his former life until he had completed the task of this world. After this, the goddess warned that the gold that the hero receives for killing monsters is visible only to him. She also strictly forbade him to touch the coins. She explained this by saying that the system automatically tops up the account. The girl also didn't forget to mention that while he was in another space, time in this world stopped, so Ryan didn't have to worry about being hurt or killed. After this, Layla wished him luck and said that he could call on her at any time. As soon as the goddess disappeared, the hero stretched his numb limbs, saying that he had to earn money to open the gates. All this time, one pair of interested eyes was watching him. Anna was amazed by the strength the boy showed, killing the zombie with just one blow. She understood that he was completely unfamiliar with their world, and it remained a mystery to her why such a gifted person with endless resources was here. The girl decided to continue following him. Anna set herself the goal of finding out at all costs who this guy was and what goal he was pursuing. Sometime later, the hero defeated several more zombies. Although he managed to encounter a couple of monsters, in order to collect 100 million, the hero needs to find their gathering place. Suddenly he was attracted by the smell coming from the fabric, which stood out from the general background. Taking the handkerchief, he read the message on it, from which he learned that someone was hiding in the amusement park and was surrounded by a large number of zombies. Ryan decided not to miss such a great opportunity to earn some money. Half an hour later, he was at the entrance to the park mentioned in the message. Once inside, the hero began to look around in search of monsters. Suddenly, he was attracted by a sound coming from the tent opposite. A couple of seconds later, a pretty girl in shabby clothes ran out of there, asking to be saved. She was glad that she had hope of getting out of here alive. To her horror, two monsters in clown costumes, from whom she had so carefully hidden, appeared at the entrance to her shelter. Alice's tears began to flow involuntarily from the fear that paralyzed her. Ryan was also attacked by two monsters. Knowing that the head was their weak point, he had no trouble overcoming the attackers. The girl didn't even have time to comprehend what had happened when she saw that the right side of the zombie advancing on her was destroyed. The hero was glad that he decided to come to such an interesting place, thanks to which he would become one step closer to returning to his own world. All the nearby zombies turned their attention from the crying girl to the guy, after which, without hesitation, they rushed at him. Ryan switched to ranged combat, focusing his energy in his hands. As soon as he snapped his fingers, a bullet made of the guy's energy pierced the monster's head. In order to deal with the others, he decided to summon his dagger, after which the hero cut off the clown's head in the blink of an eye. Turning around, he threw his weapon in the direction of the enemies approaching from behind. The monster that was closest to the guy managed to dodge the blade, but the one who was further away was not so lucky, and his head was separated from his body. He tripped the zombie girl, knocking her down. The weapon returned to its owner, giving him the opportunity to deliver the killing blow. That's exactly what Ryan did. Immediately after this, money began to pour out of all the corpses. The girl watched in surprise as the guy single-handedly defeated a crowd of undead. She came out of her hiding place, relying on her charm, and said that she liked strong people like him. Alice froze in her pose for several seconds, but Ryan didn't even pay attention to her. His behavior began to irritate the girl. She was about to call out to him again when she became an unwitting witness as the hero, examining the zombie's corpse, reached into his pants. The girl was shocked by this, and her head was filled with not the best guesses about the hero's intentions. Meanwhile, Ryan himself examined the corpse, not understanding why, of all the others, he had received gold. He was already starting to get angry at the fact that he wouldn't be able to get his honestly earned money. All this time, a shocked Alice was watching him, not even knowing how to react to the scene unfolding before her. When Ryan turned the dead body over onto its stomach and lifted it up to shake out the coins that were hidden somewhere in its clothes, the girl, unaware of the guy's true motives, became more convinced that the hero was a real pervert. A few moments later, the long-awaited coins finally began to pour out of the corpse, which could not but please Ryan. Hiding around the corner, Alice wondered if she would be able to escape unnoticed if she ran before she was noticed. The hero heard her thoughts about escape, which she voiced, and turning around, he asked where she intended to run. The girl realized that she had no other choice but to come out of her hiding place and try to seduce him. A couple of seconds later, she came out and in a seductive voice expressed her gratitude to him for saving her, because if he had not appeared here, the girl would already be dead. After which she introduced herself and said that while searching for food, she came across zombies and had to run away from them for a long time and ended up stuck in this shelter, without the ability to go far. Alice asked him to take her back to where she came from. In return, she would thank him generously. When the topic of gratitude came up, Ryan's interest was immediately aroused, and he asked if she had any gold. The girl replied that he shouldn't joke like that, because in this world no one else had such a useless thing as money. After that, she touched her chest and said that she could give something more interesting than what he was talking about. To her surprise, the guy turned away and said goodbye to her, saying that he had more important things to do. Alice called out to him, telling him that he shouldn't refuse her offer so thoughtlessly. She demanded that he take her home. Turning around, the hero asked what would happen if he refused her. The girl was amazed that her unrivaled beauty had no effect on him. Having come to her senses, she replied that in that case she would have to take extreme measures. After these words, she clapped her hands. Ryan, who had not expected any danger from the girl, visibly tensed, expecting an attack. A couple of moments later, 3 more girls came out to them, surrounding the hero. Beatrice approached the guy and, after examining him, praised her friend for having managed to bring such a handsome young man here. The other 2 girls fully supported her. Beatrice pulled him into her arms, saying that if he came with them, they would all be his. Alice approached him from the other side and, taking him by the elbow, said that they also had a lot of food and different drinks, so he should go with them. Ryan was clearly flattered by the attention from the beauties, and he agreed without any hesitation. The girls were glad that the guy had fallen for their game so easily. They already had a plan on how to get rid of him after the distraction. As each of them reached for their hidden weapons, They were greatly surprised to realize that they were gone. Beatrice was greatly alarmed by the sudden lack of much-needed items for their plan. Taking advantage of the moment, Ryan moved to a safe distance from them, after which he called out to them, saying that there was no point in looking for their lost toys, after which he showed the beauties their own weapons. Surprised, Alice asked him how he managed to pull off this trick. Ryan replied that he had already discovered their plan long ago. A few minutes earlier, when he had just arrived at this park, he had been looking around carefully. He was constantly haunted by a strange feeling of some kind of danger. When he noticed Alice, he found it strange that the girl, surrounded by zombies, was not at all scared. So he used his magic eye ability on her. With her help, he learned that the girl had a tranquilizer in her back pocket, which definitely wouldn't work on the local monsters. It was obvious that it would be too dangerous for her to appear alone as bait, so her assistants had to be somewhere nearby. Afterwards, he scanned the area nearby using his ability. Ryan confirmed his suspicions when he spotted several girls with guns a few meters away from him. It was not difficult for him to uncover this trap, because he himself had set up similar ambushes for his enemies, and he was intrigued by this situation. Beatrice tried to come up with some kind of plan that could improve their situation. The girls decided to fight him with pure physical force. Beatrice was confident in herself and her friends. No guy had ever left her. A moment later, they rushed towards the boy, ready to attack him. Ryan was amused that they decided to go at him bare-handed, and he apologized to them in advance for his actions. Jessica attacked first. She said that if he wanted to stay alive, he better go with them in a good way. The hero easily avoided the blow from her fist, and the next moment, she was already flying face down into the ground. The guy threw a tranquilizer after her, which hit its target accurately and was supposed to incapacitate the girl. At the same time, Veronica attacked him from behind, taking advantage of the fact that he was responding to her friend. Suddenly, a whip grabbed her leg. Ryan used her own weapon to immobilize the girl. Veronica herself did not understand how he managed to notice her so quickly and react in time. The next moment, he released the whip, causing the girl to spin in one place like a top. Alice and Beatrice decided not to miss the moment and attacked the hero together, but Ryan dodged their combined blow. At the same time, he managed to handcuff the girls. By placing a sharp blade against Beatrice's stomach, he saved them from acting rashly towards him. She raised her hands and was about to say something to the guy, but he knocked her out with a blow to the back of the head. Another person watched everything that was happening from a safe distance. Anna was surprised that Ryan managed to avoid the trick and succumb to the charm of so many beauties. After some time, Beatrice opened her eyes and discovered that they were all connected. The hero wondered why all the survivors he met here were girls. The girl distracted him from his thoughts, saying that he should not treat the members of the Black Lily gang in such a way. Ryan replied that he didn't care who they were. He just needed her to answer a couple of his questions. Otherwise, he would feed them to all the zombies. He knelt down in front of her, saying that judging by their clothes, they were acting as bait for men. He also remembered her words about how no man had ever managed to leave her. He was interested in what had happened to the men in this world. During the day he had been walking here, he had not met a single one. Hearing his question, Alice asked if he knew that the male half of the population had become very valuable animals. Ryan didn't understand what the girl was talking about and asked what it meant. She replied that it started after the virus began to spread actively. The first signs of infection appeared first in men. Within a few months, most men in China had been turned into zombies, while women were less susceptible. As a result, men, left in the minority, were on the verge of extinction and became a very expensive resource. A little later, they turned into sex slaves and ordinary workers. They have to endure all possible humiliations directed at them, not daring to resist. After the girl told him about this place, Ryan realized that everything was much worse than he imagined. Due to the constant danger of infection and the small amount of quality food, even the women went crazy. He realized that it would be difficult for him to survive in such a situation, even with his strength, so he decided to take a different route and try to create an army of girls. Suddenly, sounds heard a few meters away from the hero attracted his attention. He activated the eye to check what was there. Ryan was surprised to find a crowd of undead heading towards them. A few moments later, they were already climbing over the park fence to get to their victims. The hero was glad of this opportunity to earn some extra money. He summoned his blade and decapitated 2 monsters with lightning speed. The girl's sudden scream distracted his attention. One of the zombies approached the previously tied-up beauties. Beatrice, with tears in her eyes, asked Alice to save everyone by sacrificing herself. The monster had already reached for the frightened girl's wrists, leaving bloody cuts from its nails on the delicate skin. Alice replied that only Beatrice would get infected here and she shouldn't drag others into it. After that, she jumped up from her seat and ran to the exit, leaving her friend to be torn apart by the monsters. Ryan couldn't help but notice Alice's escape. Remembering that the monsters were already waiting for him, he got rid of one of them, who had managed to get impermissibly close to the guy. Others failed to escape the fate of their comrade and were cut into pieces. The hero liked the picture unfolding before him. He made the right decision when he decided to come here in search of monsters that bring him money. He felt true happiness when he received money after killing zombies. Alicia didn't understand why the guy looked so happy about getting rid of the monsters. The sudden thought that came into her head struck her to the depths of her soul. The only explanation for the guy's behavior was that he was attracted to zombies rather than girls. Meanwhile, Ryan himself waited patiently until the undead had gotten close enough to him. At this time, he was thinking that he had already killed enough today, and if he continued in the same spirit, he would attract even more undead. He definitely could not cope with such a number alone. He dodged the claws of the monster that attacked him, after which he immediately cut off his head. The next moment, Anna was very surprised by the guy's actions. Ryan pulled out a can of preserves from his stash. The girl remembered their delicious taste when he gave them to her last time. Afterwards, the guy shouted that if he died here, she wouldn't get this canned food. Hearing his words, Anna realized that there was no point in hiding any longer, and she replied that she would come down to him in a few seconds. Just as she promised, a few moments later a bike was racing down the street at high speed. She managed to get over the fence, and the girl found herself above the heads of dozens of zombies. She landed on the ground and rushed through the undead towards Ryan. As soon as she caught up with him, she immediately slowed down, telling him to get on her bike as quickly as possible. After which she warned that if he dropped the can of food, she would throw him back into the arms of the monsters. The hero assured her that the canned goods he had promised her were in safe hands. Immediately after his words, she started the engine. A moment later, the two of them were racing down the street, crushing zombies beneath them. Sometime later, they reached the shelter. The room they were in was lit only by the lamp that Anna had lit. Ryan watched her with interest. Breaking the silence, he asked if this building was her second base. She confirmed his guess, saying that during the epidemic, this wealthy area became empty, and she chose this house, furnishing it for herself. Ryan knew about the lack of many resources in this world, and asked the girl where she managed to get fuel. Anna had no intention of keeping it a secret, and replied that it was a gift from her father before the virus spread. She still hopes that her father is alive, and that one day she will get out of here and will definitely find him. The hero listened attentively to the girl without interrupting. He partly understood her pain of losing a loved one. When she fell silent, he decided to distract her from her sad thoughts by offering her an apple, saying that tasty food lifts the mood and gives strength to move on. She accepted the apple from him without hesitation, and she beamed with happiness as she ate it. In the meantime, the guy asked why she had been following him all this time. If she fell in love with him, then she shouldn't have been shy and said everything straight out. After his words, her cheeks flushed, and Anna indignantly replied that she was simply worried about the food. If he died, she would never again taste such delicious food as he gives her. Afterwards, she asked who he really was, because it was impossible for an ordinary person to get so much quality food. He chuckled and asked why he should reveal his secrets to a man he was seeing only for the second time in his life. After his words, she began to talk about herself, saying that before the virus she was a member of the national fencing team and won prizes. Even though she was a champion, she can't compare to a monster like Ryan now. The hero noted that the girl was definitely not weak, since she survived alone during the zombie apocalypse. Suddenly he remembered one important thing. The guy planned to create his own society, although there were few men. But if he had someone as strong and smart as this girl on his side, then the chances of making this idea a reality would increase significantly. From that moment on, he decided for himself that he would begin to assemble his own female apocalypse squad. The girl distracted him from his thoughts with a blow to the head. Anna waited for him to tell her about his identity. Ryan knew that there was no way he could tell her that he had been transported here from another world. He decided not to say much, simply saying that he was a wushu master. When the girl asked where the hero gets his food, he said that it was in his pants, and Anna could look for it herself, confirming his words. Afterwards, she threw a pillow at the guy, telling him to stop making fun of her. Once the girl calmed down, Ryan offered to make a deal with her. She was surprised to hear such an offer, and inquired about the terms. The hero started from afar, saying that he needed to hunt zombies, and she knew the territory of this city very well. So he offered her to become his guide. In exchange, he would pay the girl with her favorite food. When Anna heard that she would receive a can of preserves and an apple every day, she accepted his offer without hesitation. All this time, the girl was constantly tormented by one question. Why was he so obsessed with killing zombies? But the conditions he proposed quickly forced the girl to put thoughts about this on the back burner. Ryan was glad that he had managed to find contact with Anna. This was the first step towards his ultimate goal. Sometime later, she recalled the events of the day and said that she was very surprised when he did not fall for the tricks of those girls. He replied that he understood people too well to fall for something like that. Suddenly, The sound of a door opening came from the other side of the room. This caught the hero's attention, and he turned his head towards the sound to find out what was there. The next moment, the sight before him made the guy's nose bleed. A pretty girl in her underwear entered the room. Upon seeing the stranger, she hurried to cover herself with a shirt. After giving Ryan a couple of punches, Anna said that she would help her sister change her clothes. If he was to spy, he wouldn't get off easy. After this, the door to the room slammed shut, and the hero was left alone with himself. It seemed unfair to him what he received from the girl because her sister came in herself. Even if he wanted to, he could not help but notice the person who suddenly appeared at that moment. Suddenly something attracted him in the room he was staying in. The old wardrobe contained a variety of different pieces of jewelry. He was wondering if he could get gold from gold jewelry. As soon as the bracelet was in his hands, to Ryan's surprise, it began to dissipate. The system informed him that he could exchange personal items for 10,000 coins, as long as the item was made of gold. It didn't matter what it was. Just one touch was enough and the guy's balance would be replenished. The hero was incredibly happy with such luck. He was getting closer and closer to returning to his world. Inspired, he began to look around the room for things made of gold. He searched every corner, leaving no place without his attention. Carried away, Ryan didn't notice when the door to the room opened again and Anna came out. He turned his attention to the girls when she asked what he was doing. The hero understood that he had been caught at a bad moment, and getting up, he made a hastily invented excuse that he had noticed dust and wanted to clean up a bit. Anna asked incredulously why he was interested in this at night. He cleared his throat to come up with a suitable excuse. The next moment he said that he was a real gentleman, and taking out a can of preserves, he added that the girls would live happily with him. Anna was confused by his behavior and simply listened silently to his ridiculous excuses. A few minutes later, the girls settled down on the couch, and Ryan took the chair opposite, after which Anya introduced him to her twin, Sophia. The girl apologized for her appearance inappropriately, saying that they rarely had guests, so she didn't even think about her clothes. The hero smiled at her, telling her that nothing terrible had happened and she had no reason to worry. Anna intervened in their conversation. She was unhappy that her little sister was acting as the apologetic party, but Sophia calmed her down, reminding her that he shared food with them. After her words, the girl remembered that he had indeed given her delicious food several times already. Anna had no choice but to resign herself and take her sister's side. Sophia asked how Ryan met her twin. Recalling recent events, he wanted to say that they met in her soul. Anna reacted instantly and didn't let him finish, grabbing the guy by the cheeks, and said that she met him when he encountered the Black Lily gang. The girl couldn't let her sister know that Ryan had been spying on her in the shower. Sophia wouldn't be Sophia if she turned a blind eye to her sister's obvious lie, and said that a moment ago the guy was saying something about a shower. The hero, who had taken enough beatings from Anna today, decided not to tempt fate and played along, replying that Sophia must have imagined it. He was definitely talking about a skirmish with a gang. The girl didn't believe the words of the couple standing in front of her at all, and warned that if she found out that the hero would hurt her sister, then it would be better for him not to know what she would do to him. Ryan was surprised by the sudden change in Sophia's character. This girl is capable of misleading anyone with her angelic appearance. Suddenly she started coughing, attracting Anna's attention. Ryan was alarmed by the bandages on the girl's body, the pale color of her skin, and the cough accompanied by chest pain. He decided to find out what the girl was sick with. To do this, he used the ability of his eyes on her. He didn't like what he saw and asked Sophia how she got these wounds. Instead, Anna answered that it was all because of the girls from the Black Lily gang. A few weeks ago, he and his sister were looking for food in the warehouse. They were delighted when they managed to find a variety of products there. Suddenly, armed Black Lily girls, known for forcibly taking food from other survivors, entered the room after them. Anna had no intention of giving them such a large warehouse filled with food. Therefore, they entered into a fight, and the girl managed to inflict some injuries on her opponent in close combat. Sophia covered her from behind, shooting with a bow at other members of the gang. The sisters were a well-coordinated team and quickly overcame everyone. The girls began to beg for mercy so that they would be released. When Anna allowed them to leave, one of the opponents decided to take advantage of the opportunity. Sophia managed to notice at the last moment an attack from behind, directed at her sister. She took the hit to save Anna. Anna herself watched in horror as a red spot from the wound spread across her sister's chest. Zombies began to flock to them, attracted by the smell of blood. The girls managed to escape from there with difficulty. Although their escape was successful, the wound was too serious and infection set in. Anna found a room that contained a lot of medicines. She hoped to find the necessary remedy there to stop the infection, but she was never able to find it, which made her sister much worse. Every day Sophia has difficulty falling asleep, and then she is tormented by a high fever. Anna does not know how much longer her sister can hold out. The girl, with tears in her eyes, asked if he had a way to get medicine. similar to how he found food supplies. Ryan was thinking that it would be nice if his squad were to be reinforced with Sophia and her archery skills. However, to get the cure, he needs to get to his world, but he still doesn't have much gold. After thinking it over, he said that he could help them. The girls were delighted by his words, but the hero added that they had to find him gold. Sophia asked why he needed such a useless thing. He replied that they shouldn't worry about it. As soon as they found him gold, the guy would find a cure. To persuade Anna to make the decision he wanted, he added that in addition to medicine, he would bring them food that was not available in this world. As soon as the girl heard that she would be able to try something new, she was ready to find anything for the guy, just to get the promised treat. Sophia was surprised that he was so willing to share such a valuable resource as food with strangers. If she had any doubts about him, now she came to the conclusion that if he was helping them survive, then there was no point in treating him with suspicion. A moment later, both girls agreed to the hero's proposal. Sophia said that there was a casino on the outskirts of the city that used gold instead of chips, so she was sure that the largest gold reserve in the city was located there. Anna reminded her of the large number of zombies that live around this place. Ryan, on the other hand, became interested when he heard about a large gathering of walking money bags near the casino. Afterwards, he said that they don't have to worry about it. He will take care of all the monsters. He got out food for the three of them, saying that they needed to gain strength and get enough rest to go to the casino in the morning. Sometime later, the girls went to bed. The hero stood on the balcony, gazing at the starry sky. He was worried about what might have happened to his company during his absence. The guy set himself the goal of finding out all the details immediately upon his return. All this time, Anna watched him from behind the door leading from the room to her balcony, which was located next door. She thought that even though this guy seemed strange in some places, the girl felt safe around him. Suddenly, the hero felt that something was wrong. He used the eye to survey the surrounding area. Not far from the house where their small company was located, armed girls from the Black Lilies squad appeared. They easily got rid of the zombies that came their way. The woman at the head of the group gave a signal for the girls to split into two groups. Their goal was to get into the house she indicated. Ryan was surprised that Alice actually brought the Black Lilies to him just to get revenge. Anna woke up her sister after scouting out the situation with binoculars. It didn't take Sophia long to get ready. A couple of seconds later, she was already holding her bow. Ryan thought that he might be able to escape from such a crowd of girls, but he seriously doubted that his sisters would be able to do so. Suddenly, a great idea came to him. A moment later, a goddess stood before him. Ryan asked if 10 million points would be enough for him to upgrade the eye. She replied that with his current balance, he could improve his ability without any problem. The hero did not hide his joyful smile after her words. He pressed the button, confirming his choice. His ability was immediately improved. The girl congratulated him on his successful upgrade and said that the fighting spirit's abilities had now been transferred to his memory. Ryan felt an incredible strength throughout his body. He was confident that with this he could definitely handle the Black Lily gang. Afterwards, the goddess announced that 20 million coins were required to unlock the next level of the eye's ability, and asked if the hero wanted to continue improving. He was outraged by such high prices. At this rate, he would never be able to get back home. The guy politely declined her offer, saying that he could handle it at his current level. She nodded and informed him that with the ability upgrade, the miracle lottery skill became available to him. The next moment, a clock face of impressive size appeared behind the goddess, above which hung a transparent flask of the same impressive size with unknown capsules inside. She reported that this skill allows you to get a random reward for just 2 million, ranging from weapons to a cure for zombie poison. Ryan was intrigued by the potential rewards for such a reasonable price. He decided to try playing this lottery. After the payment was made, the hand on the dial began to spin at an incredible speed. The hero watched their movements with bated breath and wondered what he would get. After several agonizingly long moments, the hand finally stopped. The guy was very disappointed when he received an ordinary paper towel instead of something that was actually useful in battle. He expressed his indignation about this to the goddess. He was not satisfied with this kind of prize, so he decided to try again. The arrow started moving again. Fortune did not smile on him this time either. He received a bottle of lubricant as a prize. Ryan wasn't about to accept the fact that he was unlucky in some lottery. Sometime later, the arrow stopped again under the guy's watchful gaze. This time he was even more upset when he received a bikini that he didn't even know what to do with. Suddenly, a brilliant idea came into his head. Anna knocked on the door of Ryan's room, saying that they would soon be attacked by the Black Lily gang and they needed to leave as quickly as possible. She was overcome with excitement when, a few minutes later, the guy came out to them. She decided to knock down the door to check if everything was okay with him. At that moment, the door opened, releasing the hero from the bedroom. Anna flew straight into him. Neither of them were able to avoid the collision, and when the girl opened her eyes, she found herself sitting on Ryan, which made her feel terribly awkward. Raising his head, he said, smiling, that he had nothing against her hugs, but this position was not very comfortable for him. Sophia said that they had no time for nonsense. The enemies were about to reach their home. Afterwards, she informed the guy that it was quite a large group and that even the leader of the gang was there, and that due to the fact that she had a pistol with a silencer, it would be very difficult to deal with her. Anna was determined to take revenge on the Black Lilies for injuring her sister. Ryan said that there was no point in getting into their troubles. They would take revenge, but in one very effective way. The girls simultaneously asked what method he was talking about. The guy pulled out a bikini and replied that they would amaze their enemies with their beauty. Sophia repeated the words syllable by syllable in a questioning voice, imagining how she would look in something so revealing. Anna immediately rejected his idea, rewarding the guy with her signature punch. Ryan tried to explain that there had been a misunderstanding and that he had no intention of forcing his sisters to wear something like that. Sometime later, Black Lily's squad reached the house they needed. Alice said that the guy who killed their friend lives here with twins, who also killed several of their people. Clarice was already impatient to begin the penetration operation. She was sure that no one would dare to escape from her that night. She and Alice stood at the front door for a few seconds, listening to what was going on inside. To their delight, the door was unlocked, and they wouldn't have to waste time breaking it down. The girls entered without any problems. Suddenly, Clarissa stopped, signaling the others not to move. Alice whispered that she could hear muffled sounds ahead. The leader already had her weapon at the ready. When everyone else had also taken their turn, Alice and Clarice emerged from around the corner first to check out the situation and, if necessary, join the fight. But they were very surprised by what they saw in front of them. A zombie dressed in a swimsuit danced in a spacious room. Alice didn't understand what the zombie was doing here and where Ryan and his sisters had gone. Suddenly, the dancing zombie girl turned her attention to the uninvited guests. She dropped the coat hanger she had been using as a pole and sank to the floor. Immediately after this, dozens of monsters emerged from the darkness into the light. What was happening caused Alice to feel wild horror, causing her body to tremble. The undead began to move towards the girls. Clarissa said that they were trapped and they needed to get out of here as quickly as possible. While everyone else was trying to save their lives, the woman decided to buy some time for her girls. A few moments later, one of the girls, who should have already run to a safe place, returned with multiple wounds. She reported that they were also surrounded outside and had nowhere to run. But a crowd of undead burst in and did not allow her to finish her last word. The girl was unable to avoid certain death. Lisa and her partner watched this cruel spectacle in horror and didn't even notice how someone was sneaking up on them from behind. The girl noticed the monster only when it sank its teeth into her friend's neck, and numerous splashes of blood fell on her. She had a hard time keeping her voice down so as not to attract even more zombies to her with her screams. Lisa was not ready to die in such a situation. Clarice was still able to hold back the onslaught of the undead with her machine gun. Although she hit their bodies, the zombies regenerated too quickly, and all her efforts were in vain. The woman didn't understand why all her attacks didn't cause any damage. Suddenly, Lisa attacked her, demanding that she give her the weapon. The girl was furious at the fact that while she was protecting the leader from all these monsters, Clarice herself had not killed anyone. The woman replied that if it weren't for her, the Black Lilies wouldn't have even come here. A zombie in a swimsuit watched their squabble. She was pleased that their true identities were finally revealed, and that today they would all go to hell together. Having waited for this right moment, the zombie girl reached for the canister with flammable liquid. Meanwhile, the Black Lily members were oblivious, focused on their own confrontation. Suddenly, a zombie in a swimsuit ran towards them with a canister in her hands. Lisa was terrified and begged not to come near her. The monster only smiled bloodthirstily. The girl began to fire a gun towards the enemy. Clarissa tried to stop her and warn her about something. She noticed that the zombie had fuel in his hands, but didn't have time to say anything. Lisa hit the canister directly, causing an explosion. The flames spread throughout the house, consuming everything around. Ryan was pleased that his plan had worked. He and the girls had already fled to a safe distance from their former home, but even from there, Anya saw the fire. Suddenly, a system window appeared, informing that the hero had received 6 million coins. He was pleasantly surprised that you can get money for controlling zombies and at the same time for killing other monsters. Anna noticed the terribly satisfied expression on his face, like that of a cat who had eaten too much sour cream. She told him to stop thinking dirty thoughts about her sister. Sonia intervened, trying to calm Anna down, saying that now was not the best situation for arguing. Besides, Ryan saved them both and they got by without any unnecessary casualties. Anna couldn't argue with her sister, especially when she turned out to be absolutely right. Sophia asked why the zombie suddenly started dancing. The hero explained this by saying that if he used a special technique of striking points on the body, even Anna would start dancing without stopping. A moment later, faced with 2 hostile gazes, he fell silent, remembering Sophia's warning regarding his actions towards her sister. Half an hour ago, when he was in the system space, he decided to use his new ability. The goddess explained to him that the essence of this ability is to transfer the memories and perceptions of the owner of the technology into a zombie. Ryan asked what she meant. The girl explained that if the zombie is under his control, then the guy can see everything that the monster he controls sees. Ryan didn't think it was such a cool skill, and was excited when he learned about the opportunities it opened up to him. Finding himself on the roof of a neighboring house, he surveyed the surrounding area in search of a zombie that he could control. Noticing some movement at one point, he finally ended his search. The guy immediately activated his new ability. He targeted the only female zombie in the spotted group of undead. He managed to take control of her body. Now he was faced with the task of figuring out how to bring this entire crowd into their house. He spun on his heels, striking a seductive pose, hoping something similar would work on the zombie. His idea was a success, and the whole crowd took notice of it. A couple of minutes later, Ryan was already leading a loving crowd of zombies. He was proud of himself for creating such a brilliant plan to take revenge on the Black Lilies. Suddenly he began to laugh, still lost in thought, involuntarily attracting the attention of the girls, who did not understand the reason for his sudden mirth. Anna warned her sister to be careful with him, because judging by his creepy laugh, he was definitely thinking about something vulgar. Her words instantly sobered up the hero's creation, and he stopped laughing, realizing that he was in a precarious position. The hero asked why she always thought of him that way. He was simply thinking about how skillfully we dealt with the enemies who attacked us. But Anna didn't buy his words. Sophia intervened into their squabble, saying that if they continued to quarrel at every step, they would call all the zombies in the area. After her words, they decided to break into a run in order to get to the casino as quickly as possible. As Sophia predicted, one monster was attracted by their fading voices. While sneaking up on his prey, he did not notice the enemy that had snuck up on him from behind. Someone cut off the zombie's head with one swing. As soon as the dead body fell to the ground, gold began to appear from it. The man smiled when he received 1 million for the murder. All this time he was under Ryan's control. The hero began to enjoy killing zombies through other zombies, avoiding unnecessary risks. Thus, while on the move, he received money for killing neighborhood zombies. After dawn, they finally reached the casino building, which looked quite impressive even from a distance. There were so many undead around him that there wasn't even room to swing a cat. The hero and the girls assessed the situation, observing from a safe distance. He thought about how they could get through this crowd to the main entrance and get inside. Anna was surprised by the number of undead, and approached him, saying that she could distract them while Ryan and Sophia ran to the main gate. Her sister placed a hand on her shoulder, interrupting her train of thought. The girl stepped forward with her bow, asking that the job be given to her. The next moment she pulled back the taut bowstring. She tried to find something that could explode if the girl shot at this object. Shooting at the zombies one by one would be too ineffective. Shifting her attention a little to the side, she noticed something that would help her plan. After that, she evened out her breathing to calm her anxiety, because the distance was great even for her. A second later, Sophia released the arrow. She flew straight to her target, without deviating from the route. Due to the punctured side, the contents of the tank began to leak out, creating a fire. Then a deafening explosion was heard, consuming the undead. The monsters that were not affected by the fire began to run away. Sophia watched the zombies flee en masse, proud of her work. A couple of seconds later, the area was completely empty. After this, they lowered their weapons, saying that the way was clear. Ryan praised the girl for her brilliant bow skills. Having descended, the team moved closer to the building, examining it up close. Ryan was sure there were mountains of gold inside. Suddenly, a strange movement began to occur to the side, which did not escape the hero's attention. He told the girl that they should hide somewhere as quickly as possible. Hiding behind the bus, I began to watch the approaching column of dust, among which a certain silhouette was visible. The huge monster moved straight towards the bus, as if sensing its victims. Sophia was horrified by its size. She had never seen anything like it before. It took him a couple of seconds to reach and stop near the bus behind which Ryan and the girls were hiding. Suddenly he sat down on the ground and, roaring, raised his hands above his head. His screams deafened the team hiding a few meters away from him. Suddenly he fell silent and punched his stomach, causing the black cord sticking out from there to hang horizontally. And all the glass within a kilometer radius began to crack. Ryan watched in horror as it happened. A few moments later, everything went quiet. Turning around to look again at the arriving monster, Anna assumed it was a demon. When the hero asked what demon she was talking about, the girl replied that she had heard from other survivors about mutated zombies, which became known as that. His nickname is well-deserved, because as she knows, his destructive power is frightening. He is equal to 100 zombies. After her words, he decided to check something by picking up a stone lying nearby. Leaning against the ground, The guy under the bus threw it at an iron structure that could attract the attention of this monster. The next moment, as Ryan had planned, the demon reached towards the direction from which he heard the sound. He began to examine the trash can to see if there was a hidden victim there. At the same time, the zombie that the hero controlled appeared above the lantern that was above the monster. Ryan watched, waiting for the right moment to attack. A few seconds later, he pushed off the surface and rushed at his opponent. The hero intended to attack him with the steel pipe he had picked up. Without turning around, the monster grabbed the attacker with one hand. The controlled zombie was trapped in a vice, unable to do anything. By the time the demon turned its attention to him, Ryan's control over his victim had already worn off. He threw his head back, opening his mouth and raising the zombie's body above it. The next moment, the demon swallowed its victim. If the hero had previously thought that the enemy was simply physically strong, now it was impossible not to notice his speed and intelligence. When he thought that with the current level of the eye's ability, they had no chance of defeating him, much less taking control of him, a goddess began to materialize in front of the guy. Ryan was very surprised by her sudden appearance. He looked at the girls, worried that they might see her too. The goddess who appeared calmed him down, saying that only he could see her. Afterwards, the girl explained that the demon was a zombie that had absorbed 10,000 of its own kind and become a high-level monster. At his current level, Ryan won't be able to take control of him. But if he kills him, he will receive a large bonus. After her words, a system window appeared in front of the guy with a task to kill a demon in 3 days. If successful, he would receive 100 million and an additional bonus. Sophia brought him back to reality by touching the hero's shoulder. The girl said that they should go around the demon and go for the gold. He replied that they would find gold in any case, but it was not every day that they encountered such a monster, and he was obliged to defeat it at all costs. Seeing the doubts on the sisters' faces, Ryan began to explain the plan. A few minutes later, he picked up Sophia in his arms, telling Anya to follow them. To begin with, he planned to find a temporary shelter to hide from the demon and get some rest. They managed to enter the building without any problems from the rear entrance. Having climbed up to the 5th floor, they went in search of a suitable room to rest, which would be far from the crowd of undead and would be safe enough. Stopping in front of one door, he asked the girls, telling them not to follow him any further. The hero was going to check the room for zombies and didn't want to expose his companions to unnecessary danger. Before entering, he activated the eye's ability to take control of the undead. Only after that did he open the door, which easily allowed him inside. Despite the disorder, it was quite quiet inside and it seemed like no one was there. But behind the curtains, the hero still managed to notice the silhouette of a zombie. He immediately moved towards the balcony. Due to poor lighting, he did not see that the floor was covered with an incomprehensible substance. Taking a step, he barely managed to keep his balance and fall to the floor. The hero did not understand why the room was so slippery. A couple of seconds later, he still slipped and fell, partially landing on the bed. Hearing a strange noise, the girls became afraid for the boy and ran to help him in case of danger. Once inside, they were amazed by what they saw. Ryan was completely safe, sitting by the bed, holding the girl-shaped doll by the chest. The expression on Anna's face at that moment did not promise anything good for the hero. A few moments later, the girl sat down on the vacant bed, and the hero, who had received several new bumps, went to the window. Opening the curtain, he saw a hat hanging on a hanger, which he mistakenly took for a zombie. Anna asked if he had chosen this particular room for his vacation on purpose. After filling his hat with food, he said that what happened earlier was a pure accident. As soon as she saw the pile of food, all other thoughts were pushed into the background. Leaving them his hat, Ryan said he needed to get ready to fight the demon and headed for the exit. Grabbing her sword, Anna says that she will go with him. He stops her, saying that he doesn't need help to get ready. The hero said that the girl should stay here and protect her sister while he deals with the rest. Immediately after that, he went out and closed the door behind him. Ryan could finally put his plan into action. First, he needed to find the hidden safe. He decided to get the gold to increase his chances of success in completing the assassination mission. Reaching the room at the end of the corridor, he entered it and found a large concentration of undead there. The hero was glad of this opportunity to earn more money. Suddenly, another zombie of fairly large size burst into the corridor, knocking the door off its hinges. The monster accurately determined the guy's location as it approached him. For Ryan, the enemy's size was just right to get rid of the entire horde of undead if he took control of it. The zombie attacked its target once inside the room. The hero did not move an inch as the enemy's huge fist, confident in its own strength, approached him. At the last moment, the guy took control of the zombie, forcing it to stop. After making sure that the monster was completely under his control, Ryan sent him to the rest of the zombies to kill them. He dealt with dozens of his fellows in a matter of seconds. Leaving the killing of the monster to his worker, the guy himself continued searching for the safe. He decided to start from the basement and gradually move up to the floors above. 2 hours later, he looked exhausted and upset. Although he searched the entire building, he found nothing. He had even searched the main building of the casino and was now on its top floor, still not having found the safe. As he passed the open door, he noticed that the office was luxuriously furnished and clearly belonged to someone at the top. The hero began to hope that the safe he had so cherished would be here. He walked over to a wall-sized photo of a married couple. Using the eye's X-ray function, Ryan discovered that there was a hidden mechanism in the painting. He pressed an inconspicuous button. A couple of seconds later, one of the bookcases slid aside, creating a hidden passage. The hero was glad that his suffering had finally paid off, and he was one step closer to his victory. He walked into a secret room, at the end of which there was a safe that took up the entire wall. Thanks to his eyes, he was able to discover a security system that prevented outsiders from accessing the treasure. After everything he had been through, some infrared radiation couldn't stop him. He easily performed various acrobatic tricks, overcoming the obstacle. A couple of minutes later, he finally found himself at the finish line, approaching the safe without any obstacles. When he used the eye's ability to check what was inside, he was greatly disappointed. Instead of gold, he found only a small envelope. The shattered hopes hit him hard. He hadn't gone through all those countless floors just to find an empty safe. Ryan pulled himself together, hoping that such a strong defense protected valuable information related to the location of the gold. A moment later, he struck the safe, breaking through one of its walls. The hero approached the envelope with bated breath, hoping for the best. When the guy took it, the inscription he read on the surface left him dumbfounded. The request to open the envelope only when the wife was not nearby suggested completely different thoughts about its contents. When Ryan opened it, all he saw was a tattered photograph of the man hanging in his office. The guy unfolded the photo, hoping that there would be more useful information on the back. Immediately after this, a system window appeared with a new notification. The hero learned that the zombie he had previously taken under his control had died, but had earned him a lot of money. At the moment, he had 51 million in his account, and Ryan can raise his level. After this, he called upon the goddess, transporting himself into the system space. There he unlocked the ability of the Eye of the Scarlet Flame. The guy was delighted with this ability. He felt several times stronger. A new pattern appeared in his eye, indicating that he had successfully mastered the ability he had acquired. He was pleased to learn that he could now control 2 zombies at once, and that he would also have access to the Falcon's Eye. The hero asked the goddess about the latter. She replied that he needed to learn what that skill was for himself. After that, she also informed him that the guy now had 10 spins in the lottery available, which increased his chances of getting a valuable artifact. Ryan said without hesitation that he would not pass up such a chance and would agree to the lottery. Having spent 20 million, he was in a stupor when all sorts of rubbish started to fall out. The guy knelt down, examining everything he had received. Unexpectedly for him, he found something truly important among all this. When he exited the system space, he found himself in front of the safe again with packages in his hands. He turned around, hearing zombies approaching. Their appearance now was quite inopportune. If there weren't infrared rays here, he would have easily dealt with them. One of them, seeing the target, immediately rushed forward. As soon as he touched the invisible beam, a cannon came out of the wall and instantly blew off the zombie's head.